Hey there, friends, and welcome back to another 3-Minute Thoughts. My name is Derek, and for the next few minutes, we're going to open God's Word and let it reshape how we live, what we find most important. Today, we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It's one of the most famous chapters in the Bible. You've probably heard it at weddings, seen it on greeting cards, but Paul didn't write it for a wedding. He wrote it to the church that was tearing itself apart. The Corinthians loved their spiritual gifts. They argued over who was more gifted, who was more important, who had the better ministry. And right in the middle of this discussion about spiritual gifts, Paul hits the brakes. And he says, in effect, you've missed the entire point. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I'm a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. Could you imagine that? You have the incredible communication skills. But without love, all people hear is noise. If I have prophetic powers, if I understand all mysteries and all knowledge, if I have faith that can move mountains, those are remarkable gifts. But Paul says, without love, I am nothing. Not I am less effective or I am missing something, but rather I'm nothing. Then he goes even further. If I give away everything I have and even give up my body, but have not love, I have gained nothing. Even sacrificial acts can be motivated by pride or guilt or the desire to be noticed. Love is what gives every other gift its meaning. Then Paul does something pretty amazing. He defines love, not as an emotion or as chemistry or romance, but as a way of living. Love is patient, kind. It doesn't envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It doesn't insist on its own way. It isn't easily angered. It doesn't keep a record of wrongs. It rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Notice how active those words are. Love isn't something you fall into or out of, for that matter. It's something you practice over and over again. Jesus showed us exactly what that looks like. The father in Jesus' parable didn't wait for the prodigal son to earn his way home. He ran to meet him. Ruth stayed with Naomi when walking away would have been easier and even made more sense. And on the night before his crucifixion, Jesus wrapped a towel around his waist, knelt down, and washed the dirty feet of his disciples. That's love, not just spoken, lived, moving. Then Paul ends the chapter by saying, faith, hope, and love abide. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Why is greatest of them love? Because faith one day will become sight, and hope one day will be fulfilled, but love is the only one that lasts forever. It's the language of God's kingdom. It's the character of God himself. So if we look at chapter 13, we ask ourselves, if you measured your last week against Paul's description of love, what would that reveal about your love? Is there a relationship where you're doing all the right things, but love underneath has quietly grown cold? Because it's possible to perform loving actions without actually loving. And I guess the final question is, what's driving the things you do? That's it for today, friends. Be well.